Welcome, everyone, to Hit the Books. I'm Thomas Casale. He is Joey Knish. Knish, how's it going today, my man? You got to be feeling good. I came in last week too cocky. I'm wearing leprechaun hats. I'm singing songs, and I go 1-4 on the picks.
Well, Tommy, I think, even everything that, the star goes up, it's got to come back down at some point there. And so you were running hot, and then, you started to trip a little bit. So I can't say I'm too surprised there. So hopefully we'll get you turned around this week, and get you, back in form.
Yeah, I was thinking last week as I came in, boy, all I got to do is not go 1-4, 0-5, and I'll be in a good spot here. But, it was one of those weeks, Knish, where I didn't like a ton of games. I ended up laying points, which isn't really my strength. And, I took it on the chin. Man, Georgia, woo! What's going on with the dogs over there? I mean, struggling against Kent, struggling against Missouri. We got to see what goes on with them moving forward. But, it's listen, I thought last week was a tough week. I have gone in the opposite direction this week, Knish. With my 5 picks, I am taking the points in 4 of them. So,
Tommy Dog here is back.
Yeah, Tommy Dog is back. So I can't wait to hear what your thoughts are on some of these games, because there's some interesting angles for a few of them, and we're going to get to those now. So I am, after 3 weeks, Knish, I am 8-7. So still over 50%, right? I'm still winning the whatever this bet is, thanks to my friends up in Canada who said I only need to hit 50%. So 8-7.
Yeah, I don't know. Apparently, our friends in Canada don't know how to, do real math there. But I guess we'll give you 50%. It's still eking. It's still in the black just a bit.
Yeah, I need a good week here to put myself back in good position. But Hit the Books, Knish, is presented by the Hammer Betting Network. You can check out all the great content at the hammer.bet, and as well as the social media accounts at the Hammer HQ. And I know you have a bunch of content at the Hammer, so I'm sure you're there all the time consuming everything that's there. You do great work out throughout the week. I appreciate you taking the time to go over my 5 bets. So let's go with the first bet. Now, I know this number has changed because of some news that has leaked out after I bet it. So I want to get your thought process on this game. I took South Carolina plus 10.5 against Kentucky. My original thinking on the game was, now South Carolina is a little bit undervalued now after what we saw against Georgia. I don't see Kentucky as a team that's going to blow others out, but after I put that bet in, a couple of days later, a little birdie told me that Kentucky's quarterback, Will Levis, might not play. That number is now down to 6.5. What are you seeing with this game, and are you attacking it in any way?
Yeah, I like some of those early South Carolina prices. Levis is definitely not going to play by everyone that I talk to that knows stuff. I think now it's probably the thing about that issue with me is I really don't like the South Carolina team in any respect. So, it'd be one of those where obviously if you got in early before the Levis news, even I think that original number was high, even disregarding the quarterback situation there. Now though, it's a South Carolina team that's hard for me to believe in. And it's a Kentucky team I was down on coming into the year. I've faded in a few spots. hasn't really worked out for the most part. Now we'll see. I guess my counter here. Now this is the big steam obviously with Levis is he hasn't particularly. He's a guy that gets a lot of NFL draft buzz, a lot of the tools. He hasn't particularly been a great college quarterback. So I'm not too, we'll have to see here with they're bringing in the backup. He doesn't have a ton of experience. So we're not really going to know what the downgrade is until this game is going. But I would say the issue is that I have with this type of move, this is a move that more, it aligns itself with, when you're getting like these 5-6 point moves, like a legitimate top quality starter to an average or below average backup. I'm not totally sure that's the situation. And I guess we won't really be sure until the game is happening. So obviously you got in with a good number. But it's one of those that I don't think we're going to know until the game is happening how much of a downgrade it's going to be from Levis to the backup there, because he hasn't been, he's been okay. I think he's a guy that's got a lot more potential than he does substance at the moment. So we'll see. And obviously South Carolina is a team that has just been below expectations for a lot this year. So we'll see.
Yeah, and you mentioned quarterbacks that with more lacking substance. How about Spencer Rattler, who was once the favorite to be the first pick in the NFL draft? And boy, talk about a career that's gone down the tubes a little bit. But that would be my concern, is if Rattler starts throwing the ball away, throwing it to the other team, fumbling. So, but, I thought the line, I thought getting over 10, I take a shot. Now it's fallen. But you're saying to all my casual bettor friends who wake up on Saturday and want to bet college football and have no idea who Will Levis is, but finds out that the Kentucky quarterback is not playing, do not 6 points. No, sir. Right? You don't want to take 6 in that spot.
Yeah, it would not be a buy for me. If I had a better feel on the Kentucky back, then that would give me, that's why I'm not gonna, fade this move or anything, is because I don't feel particularly confident in what they're bringing out there. But I agree, it's one that where like all the value of getting South Carolina has been sucked out of it. So for me now, it'd be a no play where it's at. But obviously, you're in good shape at that number.
Okay, now for the second game, I've been waiting all week to hear your thoughts on this one. Boy, it doesn't sound like your dog likes it.
Yeah, hopefully it might be a barking dog here. Depends on what you see here.
It is a barking dog, but I got this one before. Again, there's been news that came out. I got it beforehand. I took Northwestern +10 against Wisconsin. Now, obviously, after I bet that, Wisconsin fired their head coach, Paul Chryst. They moved up Jim Leonard, the defensive coordinator. Typically, I don't like to get involved with coaching change weeks, but I already had the bet in. The thing I can't understand here, Knish, maybe you can shed some light here. The number's gone against me now. It's like 10.5, I believe, up from 10. Who gave Wisconsin the right to be a 10-point favorite on the road? I mean, I know Northwestern isn't any good, but they've played close games. Their one big issue is they give up 191 yards on the ground, but this isn't your typical Wisconsin team. They got 2 yards rushing last week. Am I missing something here?
Yeah, no, I'm with you on the fact that I knew some people that, some sharper moves that were kind of in on, getting in on Wisconsin under 10 there. I can't lay 10 here and feel good about it. That it's one of those that I know Northwestern is in this bad stretch of form here where they're, they've lost to an FCS, Southern Illinois is not good. They lost to Miami, Ohio when they had a backup quarterback. There's not too much to like about their recent form, but it's a matchup that you get Fitzgerald at home. He tends to overperform in some of these situations, especially against teams that can't really line him up there and throw it all over the park. So I'm with you. If I had to play it now that it's crossed over the 10, it'd be a Northwestern or nothing for me. It's just, man, is Northwestern in some brutal form the last few weeks after looking like they had kind of revamped the offense early in the season. But I know there was some sharp money early on Wisconsin. It would be, I'm with you here. I got to tell you, if this gets to 11 or 11 and a half, then I'll probably purchase a piece of Northwestern. I don't have a side at the moment, but it would be I'm where you're at, Northwestern or pass.
And so how do you deal? A couple weeks ago on this show, I took Nebraska after they fired Scott Frost, and that went well for about 3 minutes. Then Oklahoma got the ball, and the game was over. How do you handicap coaching changes? Do you guys, the pro bettors, do you guys see an edge anywhere when that happens? Does it not matter as much? What do you guys do when that happens?
I actually have a quant buddy that had actually looked in the summer. He looked at this data, and the week after a coaching change, there was kind of a market adjustment of thinking that the team would overperform, and the team kind of underperformed relative to, I guess, what the market expectation would be. Where you see them getting a little bit of a rating bump, thinking that they got rid of this coach, and it hasn't really played out that way. At least over a larger sample. So, and I don't think, if I want to look at it more, case by case, I don't think there's a situation where sometimes you have a coach where like the team hated the coach. Like if Dana Holgerson got fired or something, I would be like, this team absolutely hates this guy. They're going to come out, they have a coach that they might like. But in this situation, I don't think it was that type of scenario at all. I think it was just some Paul Chryst underperforming for a while. They wanted to give Jim Leonard a longer opportunity here and the chance to take over the full-time job. So for me, this isn't one that I do too much, relative to wanting to back or fade a team in this type of coaching change. The scheme will be very similar. It's not like they're going to be making any substantial, schematic changes or style changes. So for me, I don't have much of a change here. And if anything, again, like I said, I'm this close to kind of a buy order on Northwestern, seeing if I can get another half point out of it.
All right, now my third pick. This is a bigger game. I got a feeling the people, the smart people, might be against me here. I got Tennessee -2.5 over LSU. Here's my reasoning. I think LSU, they have an impressive win over Mississippi State. I'll give them that. But last week, they had 5 yards passing in the second half. They got 3 turnovers in the fourth quarter. I just feel like they're doing a little bit of this with smoke and mirrors. I think Tennessee is ready to become that third team in the SEC. I think the number's a little short. And most importantly for me is, listen, LSU is known as one of the toughest places to play. But that's typically at night. This game's at noon. So those fans don't have as much time to get all revved up, drinking in the parking lot. This is an early kickoff. I think it favors Tennessee. Short number. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, this was a Monday rendition. Hit the book, double banger here for me, Mr. Powers. Now, the number is pretty much where it was Monday. I know there's some sharp disagreement. It's kind of been on both sides of this game. I know there's some people that bought the 3.5s there. I'm with you. I can't get, I've heard, a couple of justifications for why people like LSU in this spot. I don't buy it. I don't buy Jaden Daniels. I think he got nicked up last week. I don't buy LSU can have a ton of success running the ball here. And I don't buy they can keep up with Tennessee's offense. I just think it's an LSU team that's been significantly overvalued and fortunate to be where they're at. And it's not a great Tennessee defense, but I think it matches up well. They're a little better against the run. They're going to be bringing heavy blitz pressure here against Daniels, who was banged up last week. And it's an LSU defense that I'm not totally sold on here. I think they've had a couple. They gave up a ton of yards to Auburn last week through the air and the backup quarterback. And I think Tennessee here, it's one of those, that other thing. Outside of the number, I think, being a bit short and some of the matchups I like, the spot is great. They're off a bye. LSU's playing 6 straight weeks here. Early kick. Tennessee, some extra time to prepare. I like the 2.5. I played some money line, played some 2.5. This is one that, I'm fine, having a larger position here. And if people want to buy LSU, good for them. We'll settle it on the field, baby. And there's only one way to settle it, with the pocketbook. So yeah, I got a large Tennessee position here with you, and we'll see what happens Saturday morning.
All right, we're both on the same side here. But something you said that caught my attention is when you see, like, on Twitter or sports betting content producers say the sharps are on this, right? you mentioned that sometimes they might be on some syndicates might be on Tennessee, others might be on LSU. But how would you say how accurate is that information that comes out? Like when you see the sharps are on this or the publics, is it typically accurate or is it more just kind of nonsense that people are throwing out there?
I think a lot of it gets kind of like lost in the wash of like you might get a sharp guy at one book who's betting and another guy at a different book. Like I think the sports betting reporters want to create a narrative to get clicks in that or bet percentage and that type of stuff. To be honest, I don't pay too much attention to that stuff. I got plugged into some groups that I respect and see if they're going to make a move on it or why they moved on it. But for the most part, you're going to usually get like a conflicting information from different guys, from different books, and I'd say the ones that you definitely want to ignore are the, like the better place 500,000 at X square book. And like, if that guy's able to get 500,000 at that, some, Ricky Dig book here, then that's a bet that I know gets a lot of traffic, but you shouldn't pay any attention to. So, for the most part, I got a internal network of people that are kind of the information that I care about, and any of that external stuff that's getting reported, I don't pay too much attention to.
Yeah, and listen, you make a great point, and this comes out in the Super Bowl, right? When somebody bets $1 million in the Super Bowl, that's not a sharp bet. That's a whale who's a casino player, correct? And they wouldn't take that kind of bet from somebody who. A pro bettor, is that right?
Yeah, and even not on the Super. Like they'll give. If you've got VIP accounts somewhere at some of these books that are not known to take significant sharp action, and you see a guy getting 100,000, 200,000, 500,000. I've seen it again on X random college game. If some whale casino player wants to put 500,000 Saturday morning on if he's a losing player, you're gonna let him have it because right. There's no edge to be had there. If you hear the story of some guys, flipping whales, and occasionally that's a thing. But for the most part, most of those bets are just losing whale players that want to get a bet down in the sports book, and they've got the account to do it.
All right, so my first three picks here, we got South Carolina plus the 10.5, Northwestern plus 10. I got Tennessee minus 2.5, and now here's where we get interesting. You might not know this, Knish, but I am a big fan of the service academies. I love option football. I love why. I think it's a thing of beauty when they run that option. So first one, I got Navy plus 6 against Tulsa at home. I think Navy is sneaky playing a little bit better. They beat East Carolina 23-20. They lost to a good Air Force 13-10. I think their defense is starting to play a little bit better. And I just don't know why Tulsa is getting so much love. They were a 6.5-point favorite on the road against Wyoming earlier in the season, lost that game outright. I don't know. I don't think Tulsa should be close to a touchdown favorite on the road. So I took the midshipmen getting the 6 at home.
Well, Tom, I got some good news for the people watching from a content perspective. It's a bad news for you. I hate that play. I can't. I hate this Navy team. To be completely honest with you, I don't. Number one, the option football, beautiful. I'm to each his own here, but I got to tell you, there's no worse game for me than when I watch an Army and Navy try and slug it out for 3 quarters in a 6-3 battle. So I highly prefer the new modern offense. The other one is I don't, and I know they've had a couple covers in a row, as you've mentioned. The defense has been playing, but the defense has been playing better against teams that they match up better against there. Holton Allers had a bad performance against Navy, against East Carolina. The option versus option is always, a tricky thing. It's easier to defend because you've been playing it for, years. These guys have option in their blood when they're in the program. They've been playing against for 5 years. Against teams that play a little bit more schematically like Tulsa in an open passing offense, I think Navy's going to struggle. Now, the one key factor there was how healthy is Davis Brin, the Tulsa quarterback. He's been dealing with an ankle. He came out of the game last week at the very end against Cincinnati. By all indications, he's going to play. I don't know how close to 100% he is. However, if he is up there, closer to 100%, I think Navy's in a tough spot here. And the issue is, it's not as much their defense, which you mentioned. It's I don't love this rendition. I mentioned this a few times talking about this game this week. This rendition of the Navy triple option, for me, it doesn't have the key factors of what I think makes a great triple, where you need some type of explosive playmaker at quarterback. I don't think they have that. They don't have the ability to kind of grind that 3-4 yards, the great up back, that type of Navy classic fullback that's getting out. And they don't have, what Hazik Daniels can do at Air Force. He provides a little bit more of a passing threat. They don't really have that. So it's kind of just your very layman's triple without any of these special, options like Malcolm Perry provided when he was so electric back there. They just don't have that guy. So for me, I think Tulsa does enough here on defense, and if Bryn is healthy, I think Navy really struggles to contain what Tulsa's on offense. So that'll be our one big disagreement of this week, because I am not a fan of this Navy team whatsoever, and I think they're in trouble if Bryn is even close to 100% here.
Oh, now, first of all, I didn't say I liked watching Army play Navy. I said I like watching their option offense when they play other teams. Those games are excruciating to watch. I do agree with you about the quarterback position. I think that's what Navy has been lacking the last couple of years, is a dynamic quarterback. I'm hoping they can run the ball, keep this game close, but you do make some good points here. They got me a little bit nervous about this one. But hey, if you hate that play, I got another one for you.
Notre Dame?
No, not Notre Dame this week. I wanted to take them, but we'll see. Maybe next week.
It's Indiana. I'm turning the stream on.
No. I took Army plus the 17 against Wake Forest. Now, listen to me. Last year, Army covered this number and they gave up 70 points. They lost 70-56. I get your points about Navy. I think Army they have better players. They run the option much better. And I don't know how well Wake Forest matches up with that. Now, if Army's defense can just make them punt a couple times, this is a big number. I think this is where you want to play Army. I think they've been a little overvalued in a couple of their games this year, like against Georgia State, but getting 17, I'm hoping they pound that big fullback who I love up the middle. They chew up some clock and they stay within the number.
Tommy, you get me all, you have me like shaking my head with Navy, and then you bring me right back here with the Army. I am with you on this one. I played some 17 and a half. It looks like there's still some 17s out there. I'd still play 17. And I agree with you for a number of the things you mentioned, that Army's triple is much more efficient than what Navy has. They're a little more physical. They're able to get a little bit higher of the yards per carry against a Wake defense I think is very soft up front. That isn't going to be able to really, stop them on a consistent basis. And this is one of those, the rare trends where everybody knows that most trends are BS. One of those rare trends that when you're getting this type of number with an option offense, especially a quality option offense, not whatever Navy's running this year, that it's just you're on the ball there. You're talking about a handful of stops in this game to cover this number, where even if Wake scores, on 80% of their possessions, that it's still going to be tough for them. They might only get, 6-7 possessions in this game. Where it's just too high of a number. I know there was some movement. This got down to 14 and a half, got steamed back up. It's really in that zone there where you want the key number of 17. I think Army can keep this in. They're not going to get a bunch of stops here, but it's one of those you talk about one stop, one turnover, one stop, and if you can then they can cash in on the next drive. It's tough for Wake then to get back outside of that zone. So yeah, it's going to be, obviously this was one of my favorite games of the season last year when these two teams played. Yeah. But no, I'm totally with you here. I think it's a much better triple. I think it's a better matchup. And we're getting a significantly higher number in this game where, hey, I like this year's Wake Forest team, but this number's just too high, and it's a team that I don't think can stop the triple with any consistent effectiveness. So yeah, 17 or better. Give me the real troops in this game, baby. Army.
See, so you just admitted you like the option. You just don't like it when they play
I like
each
it when
other.
they're playing Wake Forest.
Yeah, right.
When they're playing this soft ass Wake Forest defense, give me the triple.
Well, and Knish, as somebody who loves the option, I just feel like there's teams and coaches who are either defend it well or they don't. Like, David Cutcliffe at Duke had tremendous success against the option. Craig Bull at Wyoming has given Air Force all kinds of trouble, known as a great option defending the option. What I saw last year, I think Wake Forest is going to have to get a lot better at defending the option if they're going to cover a big number like this.
No, I'm totally with you. Usually, and it's not something, I agree. It's there. You said there's certain coaches. Wyoming is a team that comes to mind where they beat Air Force early. It's a trash Wyoming team this year, but they've been able to stop that triple under Craig Bull for years on end. Cutcliffe, as you mentioned, there's some teams and some programs that have just been able to do it for year over year consistently, and some teams that haven't. Wake doesn't really. They don't have the defensive line personnel. Yeah. They're not. Georgia Tech doesn't run it anymore, so it's like we're not gonna. Why are we gonna spend a ton of time trying to install and run this triple when it's not even a conference game? It's not a team that's gonna be playing significantly. We're not gonna have this year over year. Yeah, it's a 1-game sample, so I totally agree with you. There's no history here of Wake stopping it. I don't like the personnel. Give me the 17 all day in this kind of game.
All right, so my 5 official picks, I want to get your thoughts on one other game that I think is interesting, but my 5 official picks are South Carolina plus 10.5, Northwestern plus 10, Tennessee minus 2.5, Navy plus 6, which you hate, and Army plus 17. So those are my 5 official picks. One game I want to get your thoughts on that I did bet that isn't going to count against my record is I took Washington State against USC, but man, that number really moved against me. I saw it moved a couple of points to USC. I don't know. I guess I'm still trying to get this USC team. Maybe I'm not buying into them enough. Do you have any play on this game, or what are your thoughts on that number and the line move?
I don't have a play. I know there was some sharp guys that I know that were on USC early, which obviously correlated to the move. It's a Washington State team that's kind of been confounding to me in terms of kind of their week over week performance, and just how their season has played out. And it's a USC team that I've been looking. Was on a big fade against them against Arizona State. There's also, I guess it's a team that, you've been lining up to find a good fade spot, and I liked fading them last week. I didn't double down with it this week. Obviously, the number is significantly different, number one. We were talking about 26, 25, 26 last week, lower this week. Obviously, a lot of the factors that are out there of their huge turnover differential, the porous defense, some of those things that should regress at some point. But it's a Washington State team that I don't think, number one, I don't love what they're able to do on defense. And offensively, I like the matchup a little better against some of the other teams. Like we're talking about, they're going to play Utah coming up. They're going to play UCLA. They have Notre Dame. Those are teams that I think can really take advantage of what I think is a very soft USC front. They have like a starting middle linebacker who looks like he should be on the basketball team. He's like 200 pounds. I think there's some teams that'll match up better against USC to take advantage of them from a fade perspective coming up on the schedule. This wasn't one stylistically that I thought would kind of fit that bill. So for me, I didn't have any play on this game. Now I wouldn't try to know. Obviously, I said some sharp guys are on USC early. It'd be a no play for me in the zone here. It's just going to be a sit back and observe for me where it's at now. If anything, I like the over a touch still, even sitting where it's at currently, but don't have a side in this one. I'm not going to totally hate your Wazoo play because, the USC is due for some regression, some misfortune at some point, but it was a no play for me where it's at now.
All right, well, we'll see how that one goes. And I didn't love the line move against me early, so that's why I left it off my 5 picks. I need some, instead I replaced it with Navy. So there you go.
Oh, there, yeah, I know. You should. We got to tell Zach to cut that out and put back in the Wazoo.
So, Knish, every week I ask you to you hit these. You're red hot with these. You 3-0. First week you had Maryland against SMU. You had Minnesota against Michigan State, easy winner. Then last Friday, you gave out New Mexico, who for some reason was getting double-digit points against UNLV. That was an easy cover. They almost won that game outright. Is there a game this week that's kind of off the radar that you're looking at that some people might not be thinking about?
You know what? Let's go back to our Terps here. This one is one Maryland here with Purdue coming in. Purdue obviously big win last week over Minnesota, upset win. However, some of the factors that I thought last week that played out weren't, I don't know if it's a significantly different matchup here against Maryland last week. Purdue's defense was able to handle, without Mo Ibrahim, they were able to handle Minnesota's offense, play kind of a grinder, broke up, a big play there. Maryland is a team that has really impressed me, throughout the year in a number of. I think their offensive line, they brought back all 5 starters. It's been great all year. Their defensive front's a little better, and it's a Purdue team. Now that it's come down, this is one where I'm looking for about. I wouldn't have played this at the original 4.5, 5. Now that we're getting mostly 3s in the market, that was the buy spot for me. Obviously, would have loved the 2.5. But I played some 3. I just think Maryland's a significantly better team than Purdue. And now that it's come down into the buy range, I took some Terps. They've been good to me in a number of spots this year. And I think, we've been off them for a few weeks. And I think finally now it's back to the point where I think we're getting a little bit of value after Purdue's win last week against Minnesota. Totally different schematic change there for Purdue up against this week against Maryland. I think they're better in the trenches, better playmakers on offense. Talia a little healthier after he got dinged up against Michigan. So give me the Terps this week. We'll run it back with Maryland. They were good to us earlier, and I think now it's in the buy range for me.
All right, you're riding the Terps to keep that undefeated streak alive. I'm going to have to get a little bit of that. That did look intriguing. I do have Purdue to win the Big Ten West, so they got a big win last week, but I agree. I didn't think they looked all that great in that win, so this one makes sense to me as well. Knish, don't forget, subscribe to the Hammer NCAA football on YouTube and Twitch, and turn on notifications so you know when people like us are on. The next edition of Hit the Books is on Monday at 4 o'clock Eastern time with you and Brad Powers breaking down all the weekend's games, the early look on the lines, your early plays. So you got you early in the week, and then you got you later in the week. I see you in midweek. Sometimes I see you on the weekend. You're all over the place on this channel.
Joey worldwide, baby. Just keep the hammer rolling during football season.
So just to review before we go, my 5 picks for this week are South Carolina plus 10.5, Northwestern plus 10, Tennessee minus 2.5, Navy plus 6, and Army plus 17. I almost kind of hope Navy loses because I don't want to spend the money to have to dress up like a cadet here next week if they win that game outright. But Knish, as always, it's been great. I appreciate the feedback on my picks and the information you provide. We'll see how I do this week. I'm hovering over that 50%. I need a big week, but we'll come back next week. We'll break it down. We'll look at the 5 picks for next week's games. Enjoy the games on Saturday, Knish, and I will see you next Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern time.
Sounds good. Good luck, brother.